the time when I realized that I have to leave.
This is one time when I realised I
The Empathy Museum presents A Mile in My Shoes.
If I could go back and talk to myself when I was at my lowest, I think I'd want to hug myself before I'd want to talk to myself. I think I'd want to assure the younger me that you will get through this. It's going to take a while. It's going to take years, and there's going to be times when you feel like there's no point trying to fight this because it's so much stronger than you are and you ever will be, but you're not. The strength is within you, and you know you have the drive. You know that when you set your mind to something, you get it done no matter what it is. So just try and remember that. You just have to trust that your doctor is there for you, your parents are there for you, your friends are there for you, and you are so loved, and you deserve to get better. You deserve happiness, and you will find it, I promise, even if it doesn't feel like you will now. Happiness is on the horizon. I think I didn't realise properly that I was suffering from depression until the loss of my friend Emma at university, because as much as the symptoms had been there since I was about 15, I didn't recognise them. I didn't recognise them as symptoms. It was things like I developed a really unhealthy relationship with food, and I used to scratch at my skin with my nails, but to me that wasn't self-harm because I wasn't, taking a razor or something more that you tend to associate with that. So I dissuaded myself from thinking that there was anything properly wrong because I didn't really know how you could know there was something wrong. I didn't, mental health wasn't something that was ever talked about at school, or there was so little information and education about it. So it wasn't until my friend Emma died and I just plummeted so far and so fast. Everything that I'd kind of been bottling up and trying to pretend that everything was okay, there was nothing wrong with me, I was just stupid or weak, all those walls essentially came crashing down. And my dad was the first person I phoned about it because he has suffered from clinical depression for most of his adult life. And when I was younger, he was out of work for quite a number of years because of that, which led to a whole array of financial problems with the family. We lost our house, we lost our car. I got my first job at 14 to try and help support the family. And at that time, my best friend at high school left to go to a different school, and she was my only kind of real friend. And that was basically when all the symptoms started to appear, even though I didn't recognise it myself because my dad was very private about his own dealings with it. And so when I was younger, we never really knew what was wrong. We were just told, Dad's sick, he's not in work. But that was about as much information as we kind of got. So it wasn't until I got to about 17 that I found out that it was depression that he'd been dealing with. And that was kind of sitting at the back of my mind. And then obviously with the loss of my friend, I was in a catatonic state, essentially. Just completely unable to function, physically unable to get out of bed, just really, really struggling to do anything. And in that moment of desperation, I phoned my dad and I couldn't even get the words out to him. I just started crying, and he his intuition must have kicked in, because he kind of like prompted the questions, and he was just, and he was asking like, do you just feel completely hopeless and useless and unable to kind of do anything? And I was like, that's exactly how I feel. Like I've lost all my ability to function normally. And he got me to phone the doctors there and then, essentially, and kind of get an appointment. And I went in, and then it started the whole process of trying to find the right medication and dealing with therapists, of which I had a very bad experience initially, and it put me off for a good couple of years. But getting used to the diagnosis in the first place, but then also getting used to the medication, because it took about 2.5 years to find the medication that actually worked for me. So during that time, I was getting incredibly frustrated because nothing seemed to be working. I wasn't feeling any better, but I'd kind of been taking all the steps that I thought I should be taking, and I didn't understand why I was still feeling so low. But, we kind of slowly worked through it, and now it's very much still a part of me. It's still a part of my daily life. I'm on a very high dosage of medication to kind of see me through daily life, but I feel so much better now. Things are stable. I'm excited about life again. I'm able to do the things that I want to do, and of course I still have those days or those weeks sometimes where things kind of just come crumbling down again, but I have to keep reminding myself that I know how to deal with this now. I've worked through it. I know I had the coping strategies and coping mechanisms in place to kind of help pull myself back out of the abyss that I can find myself in. But it's always at the back of my mind that this is probably going to be something that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life, very much like my dad has. And I think if my dad had felt able to open up about his own personal experiences when I was younger, I think it would have helped me to recognise the symptoms within myself, and also to realise that it's okay to reach out and ask for help and ask for support. But because I was so unaware of what was actually wrong with him and what he was struggling with, then it meant that I didn't have a frame of reference, essentially, to go by. And it, again, just made me feel like I was just stupid and weak, and it was all the symptoms of the depression became truths to me, because there wasn't that open dialogue between me and my dad, which I understand from his perspective, but there is a little part of me that feels almost betrayed by it, because when I was younger, I had such a close relationship with my dad, and he was my absolute hero. And he still is. Like, I still love my dad, and he's done so much for me. But I wish I had been able to lean on him and be supported by him, and for it not to have taken 5 years for me to get to that point of open discussion and support and experience. Even now he isn't particularly forthcoming with kind of what he's dealing with. I think he internalises all of his problems, whereas I've gotten much better. It took a long time, but I've gotten a lot better about talking about it and being open with it, because I found that for me, a lot of the root of the darkness and the dark thoughts comes from that place of solitude within myself. So I put up the walls. I think that these are my problems, so nobody should have to listen to them. Nobody has to deal with this except for me. I shouldn't be putting this burden onto the people I care about, because I want to be the person they love. I want to be the fun person, or the one that's always up for going out or going to see a show or doing this or doing that. And because I'm a very outgoing person, and it feels like I have such an inner duality the cause of my depression, because I think now it's at the point where it's very much high functioning depression. So I can be feeling like I'm completely at the bottom of the well, but I know I have to be switched on, so to speak. You know, I need to be at work, I need to be present, I need to be engaged, I need to be going and doing things and seeing friends. And so I'll have this mask on, essentially, everything's great and fine and bubbly and happy on the surface, because that's the version of me that I want the world to see. But internally, I can be tearing myself down. And I've learned that when I have friends that I can completely open up to and they understand about my depression and they're very, very supportive about it, I'm able to talk through those darker thoughts and those darker feelings with them. And I always feel so much lighter when I'm able to talk about it and able to share it. And that's what I wish I could do with my dad, because I feel like we'd both benefit from that. But I think he's a bit set in his ways now, so I can't see that necessarily happening, but who knows?
The shoes are part of a growing collection of footwear hosted by the Empathy Museum's A Mile in My Shoes exhibition.
This is one time when I...
The shoes and stories come from all over the world. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram to find out where we are going next.